Basement Politics. Unfiltered with Freddy Vazquez. Tonight, BORRELLI'S building department.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
Thank you, Jake. I'm sorry, folks. Apparently, you were not able to hear me. Um, well, thank you, Jake, for letting me know. Actually, Jake, I'm happy to see you actually again, Jake. You had a lot of interesting stuff to say the last time I was on, but I just want to start over. Then we'll start all the way over. Check out the new intro. This is Basement Politics with Freddy Vazquez, Unfiltered. Tonight's episode is BORRELLI'S building department. Pardon me for the muted mic there. Yeah, sometimes that happens. I have a lot on my mind, and and I'm rushing to get on, and it happens. So I apologize. Thank you for alerting me there that my mic was off, Jake. And Jake, by the way, someone mentioned that you were a fake account. Is that true? Either way, it doesn't matter to me. But anyway, thank you for joining me. I'm Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight's episode is BORRELLI'S building department. And I will be talking about the building department and the recent decision by the city council to go ahead and approve or pass the legislation introduced by Councilman Mike Breen that would eliminate the requirement for the city, for the building department commissioner to be a licensed or professional engineer. The argument in introducing this legislation by Mike Breen was that it would move permit applications along quicker. I don't know if many of you remember, but when this was first introduced by Mike Breen, it was opposed by the Yonkers City Council president, former Yonkers City Council president Mike Cater. His argument was that he didn't understand how eliminating the requirement for the person who would be the commissioner of building departments would help move permit applications along quicker. They said that it wasn't about the person being licensed, but about the managerial skills, and that Sam Borrelli would be able to manage the place a lot better, moving permits along. And the decisions came up when recently Sam Borrelli was appointed acting commissioner of the building department after the former commissioner Vincent Pesce resigned unexpectedly. Rumor has it that he and the mayor were butting heads, and he wasn't moving permits fast enough. Apparently, he was sick at one point, and he couldn't get permits approved. And some say that maybe he was being forced to pass or approve permits that maybe he didn't want to approve. Maybe he didn't think were necessarily appropriate to be approving them. And this is an issue that I've had dealt with myself personally. Here in the city of Yonkers, many small businesses have dealt with the horrible Yonkers building department. Horrible. And Sam Borrelli, if some of you don't know, is a local business owner. He started a company many, many years ago. I believe now his children operate the business, but it's a contracting business. So, I mean, think about that. That's a beneficial thing for Mr. Borrelli there. Not to say that he has any intentions of, using the position to benefit himself. However, with the history here in Yonkers, we have to consider that possibility, I should say. Well, I know I've had my issues, but I'm not the only one. Small business owners, but also residential homeowners here in the city of Yonkers who have wanted to do simple renovations could not get permits approved fast enough. I am in the insurance business. My clients suffer from fires or other damages that require repairs many times where they have to get permits, in order to do the repairs. I've had clients literally wait for permits over 2 years, 2.5 years for a single family home to get permits approved. And it's unbelievable how we see these developers getting their permits, finishing their developments, and moving on along to the next one. And that's been the issue. Some people have said that they are the ones that pretty much get the priority. All the resources are focused on the developers. And appointing someone like Sam Borrelli in there is simply a matter of getting things approved that maybe the mayor wants. And is that why they went ahead and introduced this legislation to remove the requirement so they can get the gentleman Sam Borrelli in there? Yonkers Inspector General Colville impugns DPW Commissioner Borrelli for encumbering city for services rendered by his relative, by Hezi Aris. And yes, Sam Borrelli was actually the former deputy commissioner of DPW, serving under Tom Meyer, who is the commissioner of DPW and also the chairman of the Democratic Party. Now, that's a problem, at least for me. And I tell you why. I do this podcast, right? And I speak on political issues, obviously, and it's unfiltered, right? And I've said a lot of things that I'm sure have upset people, particularly Tom Meyer, I'm sure, and speaking about the Democratic Party, and recently from sources that I've been hearing about things going on in DPW, as well as Sam Borrelli now. And not that I've had any issues with Sam Borrelli personally, but he is an associate and friend of Tom Meyer. Now, me as someone who's been having issues with the building department and trying to get my permits issued, right, so I can conduct business, right, how would that affect me? And to think that it's not affecting me is a naive thought. It's very naive. I've been personally impacted by, the building department's lack of organization, retaliatory ways. It's very obvious. I've reached out to everyone. I've reached out to Mike Breen. I've reached out to Councilman Anthony Miranti, who said he would come by and visit, and he's yet to show up. Recently, a couple of days ago, I received, a word from my landlord's attorney at my business that I was going to be sued if I did not get the permits, because according to my lease, I'm supposed to get the certificate of occupancy. Well, I have been trying for over a year now. I have submitted the plans twice, and both times they were denied. Why? I actually had a meeting just before I submitted them the second time. I had a Zoom meeting with a gentleman by the name of Michael Rapey. He is a planning examiner over at the Yonkers Building Department. He viewed my plans. We spoke over Zoom, and I have this recorded, and I will be playing it soon. He saw everything. He gave me his comments. He told me what I needed to do. And then he says, once you get the revisions made, send them back to me. I will review them for you before you submit them, so you can make sure that everything's correct. And then, go ahead and submit. I said, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Got the revisions done right away. Sent them over to Michael Rapey or whatever. It took him 3 weeks. 3 weeks. I'm not sure why it took so long when he mentioned time was of the essence. But when we got him back finally in 3 weeks, you should have seen the way he marked up these plans. What I don't understand is that why wasn't I made aware of these issues? He looked at the plans. He made some notes, told me what things I needed to change. And then all of a sudden, there were these new items that I needed to now address. So I have to go to my architect, which costs money, to have the plans revised and then resubmit. Get them printed up again, full size, and send them to the building department. And that's what I'm in the process of now. I sent them over to the print shop, but before I can do that, I got threatened with a lawsuit. Why? Because my landlady received a letter from the building department the day after my podcast where I spoke about Zahi Jerris. I mentioned Vinny Spano. I mentioned the YIDA. And this usually is what happens. Every time. Every time. I have everything documented. The last time I got a letter from the building department after a podcast was a podcast I did on the YIDA. They sent me a letter in September that was dated June. What was frustrating was that this was another letter that for some reason was dated June, but I was receiving it in September that was now requiring new things to be done. And I want to share with you one of the letters I received from the building department, just so you can see what I'm talking about here. So you can see what are they requiring, or in one of the letters anyway. Your application for permit or revisions on the above location has been reviewed, and the examination of your drawings and applications require that corrections be made prior to approval of the plans, amendments, applications, since they do not conform with the laws, rules, and regulations for the following reasons. All plans submitted are to be scaled, which we did. Not sure what happened to the scale size. All plans, elevations, sections, details to be standard, architects or engineer scale, which we did. All materials being removed must be tested for asbestos. Nothing was removed. Show the travel distances from the furthest points, which we did. Provide parking calculations for all existing proposed uses. That was one thing we had to do. Contractor's information is not included on the building permit. We had no contractor. Building permit fee was $2,400. That changed because it was less. It was about $1,300, which we submitted a check for, but now it was $2,400. Provide a contractor's liability insurance information, which we had no contractor. Provide contractors worker compensation insurance. Again, no contractor. Provide contractors hold harmless agreement. Again, no contractor. So why would they require these things if I do not have a contractor? We didn't remove anything. We didn't do any work. We didn't add anything. All we did was we brought in furniture and we put up posters and stuff like that. There was one day when I walked out of the business and I was surrounded by two gentlemen from the fire department and a gentleman by the name of Jimmy from the building department. They wanted to go inside and I didn't let them right away anyway. And they threatened me. They threatened me with, going to a judge and getting a warrant. They said, we'll get a warrant. We'll go to a judge and get a warrant. They threatened with condemning the building, and they threatened me with a bunch of violations. But they didn't have their facts correct because I asked them, the firemen, can you just condemn the building because I don't have a C of O, which I'm working on actively? One said yes, the other said no at the same time. So then one said, you know what? I'm going to shut up and let the lieutenant speak. But I spoke to them after a while, and they realized that I wasn't some person that they were just going to be able to BS. And eventually I did let them inside because I have nothing to hide. And they came in and they looked around. And they even gave me smoke detectors and carbon monoxide. They just said these were new ones, we'll save you some money. They got them from a program that Yonkers, City of Yonkers was involved in, and they were giving them out to business owners. They were nice. They mentioned the things that I needed to do, which was fairly simple. And I've done. One of them was add handicap bars to the bathrooms. One of them was missing the bar. I installed it. And that was my 20% construction to the, Disabilities Act or something like that. They said the sinks, which we've addressed. And they said, other than that, it's nothing wrong. They said there was a wall there that was not there anymore, but we don't know who removed it. And there had been businesses in there prior to that. Jimmy himself said, it looks fairly simple. When I get back to the office, I'm going to take a look at it for you. I'm going to see what's up with that wall that was removed. I don't believe it's a load-bearing wall. Do you know who removed it? No. We asked the owner. She doesn't even know. But guess who's stuck with it? Guess who's stuck dealing with it? So Jimmy goes back, and I never hear from him. I go to the building department, and I see Jimmy behind the glass. And I say, hey, Jimmy, what's going on? Did you check that? Oh, I don't know. Speak to the inspector or whoever. And he walked away. And here I am still trying to get my business fully operational. it was very frustrating that Michael Rappi would look over my plans, make note the corrections that I needed to make, and then add new ones after I submit them. Now I'm doing it for the third time. And it's very frustrating because I see these developments go up, get finished, they open up, they got people renting them, and here I am still trying to get my small business opened up, a daycare center, which is very much needed, especially affordable daycare. And I just recently learned something interesting. Up the street on Lockwood, there's another daycare. The thing about this daycare is that some of the elected officials utilize their services or did at one point, and they're connected. Someone who is in the inn told me, somebody doesn't want you there. Maybe it could be because that daycare doesn't want you there. But either way, something's not right here. That letter that I showed you was one of the many letters that I received. I got another one that now was requiring a water fountain. You didn't see anything about a water fountain in that letter. They wanted a water fountain. And I asked them why. It's just COVID. We give bottled waters to the kids now. If you can make an exception for Mr. Samborelli, why can't you make an exception for me? And we can give him bottled waters, which is what we were doing. So you see my frustration. And then I reach out to people like Mike Breen. I reach out to Anthony Moranti, who's the councilman for that district, who tells me he's going to come by, and he doesn't. He doesn't. What do they do? We've been trying to get this open for a very long time now. This is an email from my wife to Mr. Anthony Moranti. Just checking in because I have not heard back from you about visiting Little Prodigy. The owner of the building notified me yesterday she received notice in the mail that our application again was denied by the building department. They are asking for ridiculous things. Moranti, thank you. I appreciate your support. We are servicing families within your district. And you wonder why I say what I say about you guys. Because you seem to only care about the developers. Again, Mike Breen introduces legislation. What is this legislation? To eliminate the requirement so Mr. Samborelli, another insider, can become the new commissioner of the building department so they can approve permits for their developer buddies fast and easy while giving me a hard time about God knows what, because they're not even clear. They're not even clear. Maybe you need to hire Michael Rappi to expedite your permit. Maybe. And how do I do that? Because I know if you hire certain architects, like the guy with the blue signs, you'll get your permits. You'll get your permits. It's all a game. It's all a scam. And now I said this, I'm going to submit these plans for the last time. This is the third time, and I'm not going to do it again. If I can't get these plans approved, then guess what? I'm going to close down. I'm not going to open back up. I'm not going to revise these plans. The landlady now is threatening to sue me because after my podcast on Thursday, she receives a letter from the building department with another violation or a second notice of a violation because of our sign, but we can't get a permit for the sign because we have to get the C of O. So we're in limbo. And then the attorney speaks to me like I'm nobody at first anyway, until he realized I don't play that. And cutting me off and is blaming me. It's saying that I'm dragging my feet as if I just want to sit there and lose money. But I know this attorney seems to be connected. It just didn't make sense the way he approached me, and he spoke to me on the phone as if it was my fault, blaming me. Come on, Freddy, you're dragging your feet. Come on now. It's been over a year now. I know the building department there in Yonkers is crazy. You know, it's a little tough, but come on now. You've been dragging your feet. Really? Well, I'm going to be speaking with my attorney on Monday, and I don't think maybe he thinks I got one, but I do. And I will be speaking to him on Monday, and I will see what legal recourse I can take, because I've lost a contract because of this. I was offered a contract that was worth a lot of money. And as a result, I've lost it. And if we can't get open again, we won't be able to, or I should say, if I can't get these plans approved, we won't be able to open. Now, this was my issue when I went up to the building department that day. Can you understand my frustration? Do you know what it's like to spend $200,000 on a business and still can't get open? And what's going on Hudson Street? The pressure that the mayor has put on the zoning board to approve a project going up on Hudson Street right there by the YMCA behind the ShopRite. So if you're connecting, you're a developer, you will get that privilege. I want to share something really quick, an article. And then I want to talk about the fakeness of people, the hypocrisy. And I want to show you what people in Yonkers say when they are able to do so in secrecy, or anonymously, I should say. Yeah. And get a little bit of the sentiment people have here in Yonkers. This is Dan Murphy with the Yonkers Times. With recent retirement of the Yonkers Building Commissioner and Deputy Building Commissioner, Mayor Mike Spano has brought in Sam Borrelli to serve as acting building commissioner in an effort to improve the services to the people of Yonkers. Borrelli, who has worked as deputy commissioner of the Yonkers DPW until his transfer to the building department, is an engineer, but not a licensed professional engineer, which is a requirement for the position based on the city charter. Now changed thanks to Mike Breen. City Council Majority Leader Mike Breen has drafted legislation to amend the charter to permit Borrelli to become the permanent building commissioner. The mayor wanted to expand the pool of qualified candidates to find someone who can effectively run the building department. Okay. You don't have to be a licensed engineer to run the building department. You need to be a professional manager. And Sam Borrelli is a practical engineer who was getting things done at DPW. Yeah? Well, maybe. Maybe you need to hire Zahi Jarris. I'm sure. If I ever run for political office, I will be. Hudson Street hire Empire Strategic Planning. Yes. And Empire Strategic Planning is Nick Spano's company that also took out a PPP loan, Hezi, in case you want to report on that. And also, Mr. Spano was recently involved in a real estate deal here in the city of Yonkers. If I can just find that page, I can open that up. So is this ethical? Is this ethical? Congratulations to RC's owned Paul Adler and Nick Spano on another successful brokerage. Rand Commercial is pleased to announce the sale of 1050 North Broadway in Yonkers, New York. Development site corner property with access from North Broadway, Executive Plaza, and Odell Terrace proposed for a freestanding multi-level building which will enhance the prestigious Executive Park's tenants mix. This Northwest Yonkers property is adjacent to a $750,000 office park and Boyance Thompson redevelopment, 2 hospitals, and 2 hotels. Rand Commercial was proud to have represented the buyer and congratulates John Barrett and David Scotto of RM Friedland Commercial Real Estate, who represented the seller in this transaction. Nick Spano, New York State realtor, real estate salesperson. Really? I didn't know you can get a real estate license if you've been convicted of a fraud, felony. I didn't know that. And now you're selling property here in the city of Yonkers with your buddy or your brother, Mike Spano, being the mayor. Continue to enrich themselves, huh? Continue to enrich themselves. So what do you think? Do you agree? Do you think it's, is it going to present problems? Do you think it's going to move things quicker along in the building department? Or you don't care either way? Read this. New York Daily Voice. 2 Yonkers DPW workers fired, 1 suspended after inspector. Ooh, okay. I'll open it up and take a read on it. But what do you think, folks? I mean, is it okay to just introduce legislation to amend the city charter whenever it pleases the powers that be? Should we be concerned that now that the city commissioner is not a licensed licensed engineer, will developments be safe? Or is this just another hire of a buddy, putting them in a position to be a rubber stamp and also to benefit as a contractor here in the city of Yonkers? While people like me and others get shafted. And if I don't play, then I don't open up my business. If I continue to do basement politics, I don't open up my business. That's a decision I have to make. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to blacklist me. Yes, they're trying to blacklist me. People that once supported me are shying away. But there's one thing that these individuals have in common. They want to be in the in crowd. They want to be in the in crowd because a lot of people still support basement politics. But these are individuals that are not in the in crowd, that are not looking to be seen, that are not looking to be next to elected officials or looking to be someone here in the city of Yonkers. Look at me, while doing absolutely nothing. If I tag you on a post, it's because I want to share. It's important information. If you don't want me to tag you, then just say that. Don't give me a nonsense excuse. And it's one thing if you're an individual, but if you're in an organization that's supposed to be for the people, and you don't want me to tag you on my podcasts, which are about representing the people, then what are you doing? What do you support? Did they have a meeting? Did they say, hey, we got to shut this guy down, Freddy Vazquez, so no one speak of him, mention him. Don't share his podcast on your page. Because you had no problem before. And these are people that come up to me and say, I like what you're doing. Keep doing it. Don't stop. Encouraging me. Now you don't want me to tag you. What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? I just call it like I see it. And if I get it wrong, then let's have a conversation. But I won't tag you anymore. I won't. And that's the thing that I'm here to do, folks. We're going to end this. I mean, I want to show you really quick before I get off. These are comments from the Yonkers Tribune. But I want to end this, and I hope that you support me in this. We got to stop, with the sellouts, the people that, say they here for the community, but really are not. We got to stop that. 1 minute they support you, and then the next minute they don't. Because all they care about is making sure they stay in the good graces of the powers that be. And I'm not with that. and eventually you will expose yourself for the hypocrisy. Let's take a look at Hezi in the comments on the Yonkers Tribune. This is from the article from John Cater. John Cater's article. And I'm not sure what the fascination is with John Cater, but the gentleman has received a lot of comments on this article. In fact, he's received probably more comments on his article than articles that were written about actual elected officials. I mean, I've probably received over 100 some comments, and it's crazy. And you got to hear some of these comments, and I'll read them to you. Let's start at the and just folks, I want you to understand the bottom comments are the first comments, I believe. Yes, they're no, they're not actually. I'm sorry. They're all over the place. I was under the impression that the bottom ones were the first because I wanted to show you exactly. You can tell by how the comments come in who are the individuals behind the comments, right? And here, December 28th, this is when the article first came out. Again, this is 11 days after John Cater had reached out to Hezi. He says, Hezi, someone wrote, Hezi, great reporting. A quick correction. Top class coach shares an address with top class limo, 24 Ashburton. It's also Cater Enterprise, blah, blah, blah. Excellent story. Wonder, Jailhouse Rock, Yonkers Tribune, go, go, go. Thank you for the time to tell the truth. Misuse of federal dollars is a crime. Yeah, it sure is. So, when the article first came out, you could see other people who are anti-Cater coming in, but then other people start coming in, and other people start giving their opinions, and these are interesting. So I suggest you, if you have some time, go ahead and go on there and read them, and I'll move up a little bit and see some of these comments here. Can this city council start with these food giveaways? Like some third world country, leave it for the pantries and the churches. You were elected to give us good paying jobs, quality housing, and lower taxes to do the job you were. So do the job you were elected to do. I don't need expired food or toilet paper. Now, what do you think about that? Did they have a point there? What do you think? Do they have a point there? Or are the elected officials doing their job by handing out food? Can this quote, somebody quoted, can this city council stop whatever? They quoted that person and they replied and said, thunderous clap. I guess they're supporting. Now, here's an interesting comment that I saw, and I wanted to definitely read this. Latinos will unite and win back District 3. And then I'll go down. Who was the last Latino councilman in District 3? Council District 3 never had a Latino council person. Sabatino, Granowski, Robertson, Martinelli, Spencer, Cola, not a Latino in the bunch. And Tarnisha Friedman, a.k.a. Diaz, is not a Latino either. Proof at Latinos will unite, quote unquote. The only Latinos allowed, okay, so this is very important. The only Latinos allowed in are the ones the Spanos and the Tom Meyer has allowed as long as they push Spano's agenda. Now, again, this is going to the blacklist of Freddy Vazquez. People who want to support me 1 minute or in private, but then don't publicly support me or now ask me not to tag them in my podcast. I'm sorry. You came up to me and said, you love what I'm doing. It's great. I'm glad you didn't back down. Continue doing what you're doing. And now it's don't tag me. Come on now, stop that. Don't be a hypocrite. All right. And it's true. Why? Because these individuals don't want to fall out of the good graces of the powers that be. It's all a game. It's all a facade. In the new census, District 3 has a majority of Latinos, and the Latinos will unite and not be divided by Carmen. Ooh. Corazon Pineda needs an ally sitting next to her, not a fake Latina. Carmen? ? John Cater lives on a hill. Okay. He won't do it, but his sister will. John Cater is a thief who was offered and accepted a ton of money to get the donators' kids onto the city. Unfortunately for him, he has no strings to pull to get it done. What's crazy is that Mike Cater actually had his kids in the city public schools. Oh, now this is really pitiful. Going after a female entrepreneur. That's the way things start. Get following. and then incorporate. Please focus on things material to Yonkers besides putting a young woman down. Shame on you. You must be a city employee, 9 to 5 guy who has no clue. All right. Baked After Midnight Inc. was a business much before they opened and tested. I don't even know. People come on here and just spew a lot of negativity. Some people, do make comments that are sensible and that I agree with. But those are the comments on John Cater's article. He, for some reason, got over 100 and some comments on there. People really like John Cater. Now, Hezi, is this why you write about John Cater? Is he a good source of, interest? Is he generate a lot of interest there for you? Food giveaways are bribes. Absolutely, Jake. 1,000%. Like I mentioned before, I'm not trying to attack Councilwoman Diaz. And again, I hate to say anything negative about someone who's giving out food to people, but that's not their job. And what it's doing is it's trying to present an image or perception to the people who do not know better that she is doing something amazing when in fact she's doing absolutely nothing. Because when it comes down to actually doing something, they can't get it right. The housing ordinance cannot get it right. But remember, I said this. They are going to come up with a housing ordinance, and the mayor is going to approve it, okay? Because they're all of them working on it right now. And then they're going to cheer and say, we got it done. That's what's going to happen. It's not going to be 20%. It'll probably be somewhere between 12 and 15%. But remember, once they pass this ordinance, how many of the developments already have been built? They're not going to go back retro and make those developments that were already built now include those additional units as affordable units, are they? Probably not. So think about that. They're dragging their feet. They should have had this passed. So the fact that it hasn't been passed yet is a letdown to the people of Yonkers, and don't let them get away with that. Tell Frankie Jarris that donator is not a word. It's a donor. It's donor. And yes, and the reason why he said that, Jake, thank you. I'm glad you brought that up. The reason why Jake said that is because Frankie Jarris, the son of Zahi Jarris, has been known to make these comments on the Yonkers Tribune. You can tell by some of the words that are used. Some people say that it's Frankie. I'm also willing to take a shot and say that he's the one, or at least people around him that have been calling my business, also have called my cell phone, and left stupid messages. It's very childish, and it's unbelievable that anyone involved in our political system would be involved in that. What are they, the Jerky Boys? It's from the 90s, the Jerky Boys. Anyone remember that? Yes, when me and my cousin and I were young and immature, 12, 13-year-olds, we would make prank calls. We weren't grown men and in the political, involved in the political process in the city of Yonkers. These gentlemen are. Frankie Jarris makes prank calls, makes stupid comments on the Yonkers Tribune, and also strategizes for our elected officials who have won and are in office now. Okay. So, this is what goes on here in the city of Yonkers. So I just wanted to show you that a little bit because I think it's very interesting. The comments there are crazy. So if you want to have some fun or you want to have some laughs, go on to the Yonkers Tribune and go read the comments and see what people say. It's crazy. It's unbelievable. I don't want to go through a bunch of them, but what I did want to make sure and reiterate is the one about the Latinos. I'm hoping that we can get the Latinos to unite. And I know I was supposed to do my episode on Latinos, the Yonkers too, but I'm going to hold off on that. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay? Because I'm going to give an opportunity to the Latinos to get together. Okay? Let's try this one more time. All right? I'm going to be reaching out to some of you. I'm going to be talking to you. I am. This week coming up, absolutely. And let's try to unite. Let's try to make this happen. Because I don't want to be like Latinos versus Latinos, okay? And it's not any race versus any race. This is the people versus not verse, I don't want to say, but we need to be the people together, and we need to scrutinize and audit our government. Absolutely. We cannot love these people like they're celebrities because they're not, all right? Jeffrey Sage is another knuckleheaded commentator. Yeah. I know Jeffrey. Shout out to Jeffrey. Actually, speaking of Jeffrey, can you verify this, Jeffrey? Or maybe Jake, you can. You seem to know a lot. I hear that there was a fight. I don't know if it was on Christmas Day or New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, that involved Jeffrey. That's word on the street, Jeffrey. Were you involved in a fight? I heard some bouncers bounced on you. pretty badly. I don't know if some people say it was Jeffrey Sage and that he needed some kind of reconstruction surgery or something. It was at a bar on McLean. It's a famous bar. A lot of people, popular bar, say a lot of people go to. A lot of people in the city of Yonkers, like city employees, people like that. I forgot the name of it. Maybe if somebody could put it up there, I'll show it. But yeah, is that true? I hope not, man. Such a pretty face there. I don't want that to get ruined, Jeffrey. Anyway, that's word on the street, Jeffrey, in case you haven't heard. He sounded like a squeaky toy. Were you there? Were you there, Jake? Anyway, Jeffrey Sage is very is a gentleman that's also kind of he's one of the people that you'll see a lot in at political events, at fundraisers and stuff. He's a supporter of the Democratic Party, supporter of a lot of the candidates that are or elected officials, I should say. So he's one of the it's pretty much you see the same individuals at the events and stuff, unless you're not liked as much and you start to get blacklisted, then you start to see less and less of these individuals at your event. So I've gone to events where there were a bunch of certain individuals, and then there was some issues with that person. He throws another event or she, and then you don't see as many. So that's how Yonkers is. It's very it's fake. It's fakety fake, 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 fakety fake. And people are very fake here. And I keep it real. And I don't, me and people who are fake, we usually don't get along. And people don't like me because of that. Because sometimes I'm too honest, maybe. I'm too honest. So I wanted to just kind of talk about a few different things and not to be all over the place. But I did want to talk about the building department thing and just ask your opinion. Ask your opinion. And are you someone who has had problems with the building department? Have you gone through an issue like I have? I know others have. I've spoken to several business owners here in the city of Yonkers who all told me that it took them a year and a half, 2 years to get building permits approved. And we did no work. It should have been very simple for us. But unfortunately, we were targeted. And this is the problem. When we allow for individuals like Sam Borrelli to be appointed the commissioner of the building department, and nothing, necessarily personal against Sam, but these are friends of friends. These are friends of friends. And when they get put into these positions, it's for a reason. And it's not to benefit the city. It's not. Because he's been in there for how long now? And there's still issues. Things are still not moving any quicker. I'm still having problems. Clients of mine are still having problems. Other business owners are still having problems with the building department. But who isn't having problems with the building department? Developers. And this is very important. And I'm trying to kind of show you all the friends network. Show the individuals. Don't rock the boat. You got to get along to move along. So what are you saying, Jake? What are you saying, Jake? What are you saying, Jake? Tell me. Should I just be quiet? You saying that I should just not say anything? Just allow this to continue? Allow it to be this way? I had that opportunity, Jake. I did. I had the opportunity to not rock the boat and get along to move along. But at what cost? I don't, and maybe this is me being a stubborn individual. Maybe I'm stubborn. Maybe, but I've just never been the type to, you know, maybe I'm hard headed. I just listen. I'm going to do it my way, and I've always done it that way in life, and I've always figured out a way, and I will figure out something here. That's for sure. Whether I get my permits or not, I'm not going to take a loss, and I'm going to continue doing basement politics. And if I have to shut down my business, then so be it. I make money other ways. I have multiple sources of revenue, and I will focus a little more on basement politics. And then I will really rock the boat. Seriously, rock the boat. And this is my point, Jake. We have to stop being scared. It shouldn't be that way. And if you accept that, then I don't know. I can't accept that. Well, again, folks, thank you for joining me. I'm Freddy Vazquez. I just wanted to update folks on the building department, and I wanted to just talk about really quick my incident because I thought it was interesting. Again, after another podcast, I spoke about Zahi Jarris. I spoke about, I did mention Vinny Spano, and I also spoke about the YIDA. And I get, my landlady at my business gets a letter from the building department with a warning, another violation, and she got all razzled, and frazzled, I should say, and had an attorney threatened to sue. But this attorney, I hear, is known by people in the city of Yonkers, and the way he spoke to me, something was not right. Something was not right. He seems to want me to fail. But I don't understand. If you represent the owner of the building and we've been paying the rent, you had no one else in there before, and I doubt you're going to get someone else in there after us. Why would you threaten to sue us and evict us? I'll tell you his name, Jake. Unfiltered. Frank Unfiltered, I believe his name is. Frank T. Unfiltered. Soon as I got on the phone, he cussed me off and says, "Come on, Freddy, you're dragging your feet. Come on, Freddy." And I just thought that was very rude, and it makes sense to me. Why, if we're paying the rent? It doesn't matter. We're paying the rent, and I even offered to pay for any violations that the landlord of the building received. So what's the issue? Why are you trying to sue me and evict me? Who's putting the pressure on you? So, so I wanted to talk about that, and also the recent decision by the city council to go ahead and pass Mike Breen's legislation, which eliminates the requirement of the building department commissioner having to be a licensed engineer. Sam Borrelli, another insider, former deputy commissioner of the Parks Department, worked under Tom Meyer, who is the current commissioner of the Parks. I'm sorry, the DPW. I'm sorry, Public Works, DPW. He was a former commissioner, a deputy commissioner of DPW. And Tom Meyer is the commissioner of DPW, but also the chairman of the Democratic Party. So be careful. If you want to get permits, don't criticize the Democrats. Don't criticize the power structure, or you end up in my situation. I don't care. Freddy Vazquez, Basement Politics. Next week, we'll get into a little bit deeper into the connection between Nick Spano and Zahi Jarris. We'll talk about what's been going on. What's Nick Spano been up to here in the city of Yonkers? What has Zahi been up to here in the city and also up in Thornwood? We'll talk a little bit more about that next week on Basement Politics. And hopefully I'll get my permit. Again, I'm going to submit them. No, Thomas. I'm sorry, Frank. I'm going to submit them one last time. If they're not approved this time for whatever reason, I'm not going to try again, folks. And it's not that I'm giving up. Not that I'm giving up. It's just that God has a different calling for me. He has something else, for me, and that's what it is. I believe in God. I have a strong faith, and everything happens for a reason. And this is just something that God wants to happen. So I guess I'll focus more on basement politics, and maybe I'll get all my facts right now that I have a lot more time to fact check. Freddy Vazquez, join me next week on Basement Politics. And please email me with any topics that you'd like to see discussed here on this Basement Politics. politicwithfred@gmail.com. Also, I put up a GoFundMe page or account for a gentleman by the name of Omi Medina. If you know Omi Medina, very active on Facebook, particularly Yonkers Voice. He is suffering or has a medical condition, a rare medical condition that has prevented him from being mobile. And we're trying to help him be more mobile. His insurance company will not cover this scooter. So I offered to pay, I'm trying to raise $550, the scooter $769. If I can get $550, I offered to pay the difference, the $219 and plus tax difference through my organization. Push People United for Social Honor, so we can help get Omi Medina mobile. He has a son, I believe, teenage son, young teenage son, and he'd like to get out and be active with his son. So let's help Omi Medina out. You can check out the GoFundMe page on one of my pages there. Click on the link. Anything helps. $10, $5. We're not looking for 100. And I do want to say thank you, Jamie Spano. I appreciate the donation of $100. Thank you very much. That was mighty great of you. So please follow suit and donate there. Again, the GoFundMe account listing or whatever you call it. It's the first one that I've ever done. And all the proceeds will go to the scooter. Any additional money that's raised will go to Omi Medina. But again, I'm looking to simply raise $550. That's the limit on the GoFundMe page. And then through my company, through my nonprofit, Push, we will, make the difference up and get the scooter for Omi Medina and present it to him. I think that'd be great. So check that out. If you can help, that'd be awesome. Thank you very much. Again, Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics. Jake, send me some info. politicwithfred@gmail.com. And anyone else who'd like to have me discuss a specific topic, email me. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your evening, folks, and have a great week. Freddy Vazquez, Basement Politics. By the way, did you like the new intro? Little video thing that I did there? I'll show it to you again as I head on out here. Basement Politics with Freddy Vazquez. Peace.